Hi everybody and welcome back to Kevin's Upfront Opinion. So for this video I thought I'd speak about something that I don't really speak about a great deal. What it's actually like for a man being at the birth of their own children. Now, I normally say I have 7 children. That's what I normally tell people. Okay. Now, only 6 of them biologically are mine. So out of the 7, 6 of them are biologically mine. One of them's my stepchild. But I always classify her as my own, mainly because, as my wife would say, she pulled the short straw by having a shitty father. And I think she would openly admit that herself. And I shouldn't really say that because he's an alright guy. He just can't be asked, to be honest. And he is one of those. But it is what it is at the end of the day. And hopefully one day my stepdaughter and her dad will resolve their issues. I doubt they will, but I hope that they will do one day. So I thought I'd go through this, actually discussing what it's actually like. Because a lot of men, if you think about the history books, if you watch like, the Midwives Pro, I can't bloody remember. My wife watches it all the time. She's probably made me watch every episode, which is on a Sunday, starts at around Christmas time, and it's so bloody boring. Basically the same story every week. Some woman's pregnant, couple kids, maybe one dies, one survives, and that's about it, to be honest. Men aren't allowed to be there because obviously I think the series starts in about 1950s, or was it 1960s? And for every man, they want to be there for the birth. But my argument is, and I'm probably going to be the only man that's going to say this, should they actually be there? Okay. Now, out of the 7, I'm going to be honest, and I actually wrote this down to get this right. Okay. Here's my scrap of paper. And I've got all their names on there, how they were actually born, and whether I was there or not. Okay. So, got the first one, which is my wife's first child, which is my stepdaughter, Jamie Lee. So obviously, it's not my child. I wasn't there. Second one. Okay. She was born by C-section. Okay. Amy. I wasn't there. Third one. Joseph. So first one, that was 2001. Second one, that's 2009, August 2009. Third one, Joseph. My first son. He's a little angel. That's me being polite. Okay. He was born in June 2015 at QA Hospital. Yet again, I wasn't there. I know what people are going to be saying. You're a lousy father. Okay, I'll take that on the chin. Okay, Jacob, 4th one. Born February 2016 at the same hospital yet again. All of these were pretty much born at the same hospital. Okay, 2016. Emergency cesarean section. Okay, he had sepsis. Now with him, I was unable to be there because I had my young son, Joseph, with me. And even though I told my wife I'd be in the theatre with her, I had to lie to her because there was no way I was going to be able to be in there. So I got a student midwife to take my place. So yet again, was unable to be at the birth of any of my children. So 4 down so far. I'm not doing too good. Number 5, Jemima. July 2017. I actually made it this time. Okay, I was actually there. Okay. And I'll tell you what, and I'll be honest about this, and I've even admitted this to my wife, I hated every single minute of it. Okay, now I'm an epileptic, I'm supposed to get regular sleep. And if anybody knows about epilepsy, if you don't get regular sleep, you put your health in extreme risk. And I stayed up for 2 days. Okay, now my wife got induced because she had, I can't remember what you call it, but she had diabetes in pregnancy. Okay, and somebody can come back at me and say what it's called, because I can't remember the actual wording, so I can get slated later. Okay, and I remember, God, having a go at my wife because she was trying to be the big I am, refusing to take any pain relief or anything. You know, she got offered gas and air, she got offered an epidural. So she got offered both of them. And it was probably about 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and I was starting to get really peed off with my wife. Well, she was actually my fiance at the time. We weren't actually married. Because I remember saying to her, I said, look, you're struggling, you're in a lot of pain, there's nothing I can do. It's out of my hands. And that's the worst part about it, because I'm a person that likes to be in control. And when you're in that position, there's nothing you can do. You might as well just go and sit in the corner. I'll come to that when it comes to my daughter Jasmine, because I got in trouble for that. And I go at her and I said, look, just take the gas in there. If you don't want the epidural, and it's too late for that anyway, just take the gas in there. And she complained and said, yeah, but it makes me feel sick. And I said, I don't care if it makes you feel sick. Just take it to maintain so you can actually get through it. So she agreed to do it. And she gave birth to Jemima about 6-7 o'clock in the morning, round about that kind of time. Because I remember making phone calls to everybody. And it's like, I remember saying to the midwife, if you want to kick me out of the room, just kick me out. If you want to push me out of the way, just push me out of the way. You know, I don't want to be here and cause a problem at the end of the day. And I remember after my wife gave birth, midwife handed the baby straight to my wife, which you would expect. And the midwife came out, called me by my name. Can't remember introducing myself, to be honest. I probably did, to be honest, but I don't remember it. And she said, do you want to come round here and cut the cord? I thought, what? And I said to her, I don't know how to do it. I said, I've got no idea where to cut or anything. She said, stop being a bloody idiot. She did say that. And I've been called worse by midwives as well. And she said, come round here. Right, here's the scissors, or the scissors I use anyway. I said, right, just cut right there. I said, fine. Okay, so I cut it. So I got cut my daughter's cord. And then my wife had already started feeding her a bottle because she was bottle fed. And she asked me if I'd feed her. And I said, okay. And it's that moment, you know, within minutes of her being being born, and then being handed to you, and you've already cut the cord, and then you start feeding them, and obviously they got a blanket wrapped around them and they got a nappy and everything. And it's impossible to explain the feeling that comes over you. And you can call me a wuss or whatever, and I can't explain it. Because the feeling that I had from her to when the others were born was completely different, because I was there. And it was the first time I'd ever been there for the birth. And when it came to my following daughter, who was born in 2019, it was another completely different feeling. It was completely different. Okay, and a lot of people may not understand this. It's because my daughter Jasmine has Down syndrome, and we've been told so many times that she was not going to survive. The day my wife got induced, we got told that she was probably going to come out blue. She had a serious, I mean really serious heart condition, and we were expecting her to be taken straight down to intensive care, which she wasn't. You know, everything that they said was pretty much incorrect, apart from the heart condition. She, trust me, she does have a heart condition. Sometimes you'd think she hasn't, the way that she behaves. And when I say, yeah, she's got a right old attitude on her. So obviously when it came to Jasmine, we didn't know what was going to happen. So when she came out and she was born, and yet again I got asked to cut the cord and everything like that, it was more a case of, well, for me anyway, it was more a case of relief, because we had gone through so much over the 9-month period, and knowing that she was here and she was completely safe. How my wife felt, I don't know, because I never actually asked her, to be honest. But from my point of view, it was relief, knowing that yes, it was only the start of a journey, but she was here and she was safe. Because we had been asked so many times to terminate. And to be honest, I lost track how many times. We even got asked if we were wanting to terminate probably about 7 hours before she was actually born. The day that my wife actually got induced, we actually got asked if we wanted to terminate. And I know there's going to be people out there that would be absolutely horrified to hear that, but that is actually true. We actually did get asked on the day that my wife was induced if we wanted to terminate, and I could never ask my wife to do that. I refused to ask her to do it. And obviously when it came to my last child, and trust me, it is the last one, and I've told my wife she ain't having any more, okay, which is Jedediah. He was born by emergency cesarean section, and that was really difficult, because it wasn't just the baby's life that was in the balance, my wife's life was in the balance as well. And it's like I've said to her, I ain't going through that again, because if it hadn't been for the midwife doing the check at the time she did the check, my wife could have easily died, because of what had happened, because they had done the sweep and everything, and because he was pulling on the cord in the direction that he could have killed my wife. Now obviously that didn't happen. I remember the midwife shouting at me quite a lot to press the emergency button for my wife to be taken straight down for the emergency cesarean section, and getting so many different stories from different midwives when they came to see me, because from that to my wife coming back, it was probably about 4-hour period. It was a long time. It was a real long time, you know, and I could be well out on that actual time period, because looking back on it, it seems like it was a long time, but it wasn't. And I never went to see him until about 11 o'clock at night before I went home. My wife must have got taken down at about, to be honest, I've got no idea what time she actually got taken down. She probably got taken down something like about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And she probably never came back until about 8, 9 o'clock. And I could be well out on them times because I seriously don't. But that birth was probably the hardest. And that's why I've said, I can't do it again. I don't want to go for another labour where I'm there, because I found it real. And I may be being seen as being selfish. I didn't want to watch my wife suffer again. Now, obviously, out of them 7 children, it's 2 different mothers. You know, but for me, no. So why on earth men want to be there, I still do not understand, because trust me, you do not. And I even told one particular chap when my wife was waiting to go down with my daughter Jasmine, I said, you don't want to be there, trust me. And I remember telling him, and he was going to be a first time father, so that'd be over 5 years ago. I said, bloody hell, it is absolute misery. And I still remember, and I got bollocking for this as well off my wife, when my wife went into labour with Jasmine. Any man that's watching this, do not do this, because you will get shit for it. I went and sat in the corner and went to sleep for 2 hours. Even though my wife told me it's going to be a long night. She did say this. She said it's going to be a long night. Just go and get a bit of sleep. And I go and do what she says. What do I get? I get shit for it. So that is a true story. Okay. So if you are a father, let us know in the comments down below what your personal experiences were. Were they good? Were they bad? Were they indifferent? Let us know in the comments down below. And obviously, if you are new to the channel, if you could please subscribe as well, I would appreciate it as well.